Hey, sports fans, PB&Z Sports Chaos, we're back at you. In a moment, we got a fishtail to tell you. But first of all, happy time for our Boston fans. The Bruins continue to rampage the NHL, 15-2, 10-0 at home. Go Bees! And by the way, the Celtics aren't so shabby. 12-3, the best team in the NBA as well. Fans are chanting Tatum MVP, MVP. Dan Shaughnessy hates it because Dan Shaughnessy hates everything that's modern, so that's why he hates it. Hey, by the way, those damn Yankees, they got an MVP finally, first time since 61. Aaron Judge, believe it, it's the first time since 61 they have an MVP, Aaron Judge. Unbelievable. Cards, Paul Goldschmidt, not so bad either. He's an MVP as well. And sorry to say, Boston fans, but Bogarts is one step out the door. He did not accept a qualifying offer, and why would he at $19.6 million? He's a $30 million a year player. PB, by the way, before we talk about football this week, you got a little fishtail to talk about. You got a 35-pound wahoo?
Yeah.
That's a big-ass fish.
Oh, yeah. It was a struggle. Brought it in, went fishing on Tuesday, a little charter trip. So it was just the couple that came in, Brian and Angelina from Kansas City, those two and me. Valeska didn't even go on it. And it was just three of us and the captain on this boat. We were out offshore. And we did live bait fishing. So we bought some live bait, which were little fish about this big that were alive. And we put them on the hook, set it down. We were at about 300 feet. And we latched onto it. We were sitting out there for 3 or 4 hours. And we finally latched onto this wahoo. Struggled to bring him in. But I'll tell you, it was worth the catch because we had made ceviche that night with it. We grilled some. I got pounds and pounds of it on ice in the freezer right now. So the captain told me I could go to market with that fish and probably get somewhere around $300 to $400 for it.
Whoa!
So,
Is this a fish tail? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Tune into our Facebook page later on. You'll see. All right. Hey, we're going to talk some football because football's getting very interesting right now. College football, we're heading into rivalry week. This week we got a couple rivalry games. Next week we got a couple. No real upsets last week, but we're going to have a little preview of the college Catholic war. Notre Dame barely beat Navy last week by 3, and DC finally did something right. They beat number 17 North Carolina State. I'm so happy about that. And even UConn, little UConn, they finally won 6 games. They're going to go to a bowl. They beat Liberty last week in another upset, number 18 Liberty. So we'll see. Hey, CFP ranks stayed exactly the same, PB, right? Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU. Tennessee's 5. But this is where it gets kind of crazy. LSU is 6. They played Georgia in the SEC championship. If they win that game, they lost by 27 to Tennessee, who lost to Georgia. I mean, could we have 3 SEC teams in the college football playoff?
Conceivably, yeah. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibilities. That'd be something. Just have a 2-win team get in would be something that's unprecedented, I think, at this point in time, right? So
I can't watch the playoffs if they have 3 SEC teams. I'm sorry. I don't think that's the best thing for college football. But if they're the best teams, we'll see. That's so crazy. All right, hey, let's talk about our foreplay. Last week, I think you and I went 3-1, right? We're starting to roll a little bit.
no, we went 4-0, dude.
4-0. Oh, we did. All right. I thought we lost the North Carolina Wake Forest game.
No, we took UNC.
Okay, all right.
UNC won outright. UNC was getting points, and UNC won outright. So.
Oh, that's right. Wake was favored. Right. All right. Okay.
Yeah. Wake was favored at home. Yeah.
4-0. So we know what's going on in college football. Trust us.
4-0, and G Money came in at 2-2. So, hey. On the season.
But he redeemed himself in the NFL. We'll talk about that in a few minutes.
Yeah.
All right, let's do our picks before we get to NFL. So as I said, a couple rivalry games. First one in the West Coast, USC, UCLA. This used to be a great game every single year. This year it could be a great one again. Number 7, USC is a 2.5-point favorite. They play UCLA. I believe this game's in the Rose Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. What do you think?
I'm going to lay the points with USC. I like what I see out of them better.
I am as well. Yeah, me too. I think Pete, if I'm not mistaken, G Money took UCLA, right?
Yeah, I'll double check it as you go on to the next game.
All right. Yeah, I forgot to write down his picks. All right, the other one, another big game in the Pac-12. Believe it or not, can't believe we're talking about 2 Pac-12 games, but number 10 Utah plays number 12 Oregon. Both these teams, they conceivably could have a shot at the college football playoffs like the other two. The winner of both these games play each other probably in the Pac-12 championship. What do you think? Oregon's a 3-point favorite at home.
Yeah, I like Utah, even though they're on the road. But I do like the fact that they're getting 3 points. I think worst case scenario, it'll be a push. I think it's gonna be a 3-point game one way or the other.
You like Utah, huh?
Utah can definitely win it outright. Yeah.
I got USC in the previous game. I forgot to say that. Even with I'm giving the 2.5, I got USC to win that game.
Okay. By the way, G Money had UCLA in that game. So.
And you got USC as well?
Yes.
All right. Hey. All right. Another rivalry. Bedlam, which I have been to.
Wait, who do you have in the Utah game?
Oh yeah, Oregon.
Oh, all right. You got Oregon.
I'm taking the favorite. I think they cover the 3.
G Money's got Utah. All right.
And you got?
I got Utah as well.
All right, you guys got Utah. Good luck. Good luck to you boys. All right, Bedlam. I was getting excited for Bedlam. Sorry. I've been to a Bedlam game. OSU, number 24 in the country. Now this one I don't get. Oklahoma's having a very poor year for Oklahoma standards, but they're a 7.5-point favorite, PB. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's too many points to give, given this rivalry, given the fact that Oklahoma State's just a better football team right now. Oklahoma's lost some pretty sad games this year, so I'll take the 7.5 all day with Oklahoma State.
Me too. I don't even know. I don't understand where those odds came from. I'm with you as well.
Yeah,
all right.
He is too.
Yeah, well, it's a clean sweep. We don't get it. But when you see stuff like that, we've said it before. Vegas knows something, yeah, that we don't know, right?
Right.
All right. The Catholic Hoedown, as I'm calling it. BC goes out to South Bend to face the Fighting Irish. They're only favored by 21 points. It's just 3 touchdowns. What do you think?
Notre Dame is so up and down.
They only won by 3 against Navy last week.
I know. But BC is also just laid
down mostly.
Mostly down, laid some eggs this year. 21's a lot of points, but I like Notre Dame. I'm going to lay the points. I think this is going to end up being like a 38-10 game or something like that. So
I will say this. So BC, hopefully they continue. They put their backup quarterback in Duke. He played well. They lost, but then he beat North Carolina State last week. Kid named Emmett Moorhead. He has some gusto. He has a little bit of mojo to him. I'm going with BC to cover. They're not going to win, obviously, but I think they get 20 points, within 20 points. So I got BC.
Okay.
All right, let's go to the NFL because, first of all, I've been watching the fantasy shows this past week. I'm surprised that every guy that talks fantasy football on TV is a geek. None of them ever had a hot chick in high school. I can guarantee you that. It's crazy. It's unbelievable. But anyways, I digress. Some shockers last week. Before we get to this week. Minnesota beats Buffalo. And we all took Buffalo, right?
We all had Buffalo in that game.
And that game is now considered the game of the year so far, right? Because what happened in that thing.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, I'll talk about this momentarily when we talk about takeaways, but Josh Allen, I don't know. But the other one is Green Bay coming from 14 behind to beat the Cowboys. Granted, it was at Green Bay, but that was a little bit of a shock. I think we all took the Cowboys in our picks, right?
We were all wrong on both those games. And you could make an argument that was Green Bay's like saving grace for the season to try and turn it around. But
until last night.
Last night, they freaking lose to the Titans. So not that the Titans are horrible, but you got to win those games. You got to win those home games in November. They're just not doing it. So I think that team's done this year, as far as I'm concerned.
By the way, those are 2 shocking outcomes. But the biggest shocker was the Commanders beat the Eagles. Although I got to give my boy PB credit. He said when we talked about our midseason discussion last week, the Eagles were going to fold very soon, and you were right. We didn't pick that game, but you didn't pick that game. We didn't pick it, but you probably would have picked the Commanders. Who knows, right?
Yeah, I think they're. What are they now? 9-1, 8-1, or 9-1? 8-1.
I think it's 8-1. Yeah,
8-1, 9. So they got 8 games left. I would be surprised if they finish off at 500, maybe 5-3 at best out of the last 8 games. Wow. Yeah. This is a 4-loss team. This is a 4-loss team. They'll figure out a way to lose 4 games at least.
By the way, you just mentioned the Titans. Are they really? Are they under? They're 7-2. Are they under everybody's radar?
Well, last year the same thing happened, Russ. If you remember, right? They
No,
were
I know they were the best team. They were number 1 seed.
number 1 seed. They got the bye in the new format. Only one team gets a bye. They got the bye, and then they came in and laid an egg. And I predicted that, by the way, that they would be one and done as the number 1 seed, and they were. And you know what, fans? If they somehow make the number 1 seed this year, they'll be one and done again. Like that team is just not. They're not flashing enough. I know that you don't need flash to win, but there's something in that team that's just missing. They're just lackluster in some way. I can't put my finger on it exactly. Maybe it's Tannehill. Maybe it's the lack of talented receivers. That there's something there that's missing. Their defense is okay. They're not like the best defense ever. I don't know. Yeah. So to answer your question, yes, they were under the radar. They're under the radar for a reason.
Okay. All right. Give me a couple takeaways from last week before we do our pick 6.
I mean, Miami decisively beat Cleveland, moved into first place in the AFC East. Who saw that?
By the way, right now, as of today, all 4 AFC East, including the last place team, the Patriots, are all in the playoffs at the moment, correct?
Yeah, I don't know if the Patriots are 5-4, but I'll take your word for it if they are.
No, they are. They got the tiebreaker over the Chargers and the Bengals.
Oh, wow. Okay. So there's something interesting, right?
Yeah.
And everyone thought that was going to be the AFC West, maybe.
And number 6 is the Jets, who they play this week. We'll pick that game in a minute, right?
Right. Yeah. The Jets and the Jets and Bills are both 6-3, and the Dolphins are 7-3 because they haven't had their bye yet. So they have it this week, right? So
yeah.
There could be 3 7-3 teams at the end of this week if the Jets and the Bills both win. What else was a big takeaway? I think me and you at least were hoping the Rams could show up. They didn't, right? Arizona took care of them. G Money was right on that pick.
They may not finish over 5. They may finish 8-9.
Yeah, that very well could. They very well could. And this is the team
defending Super Bowl champions.
Defending Super Bowl champions just completely out of the picture. Not even, they could miss the playoffs altogether, right?
I got one for you, PB. Saturday is a Sunday guy.
Saturday.
And by the way, Matty Ice, which I love the dude.
Brought him
I
back.
met him in person. I love the kids ever since BC. He showed redemption. He got the shot of starting quarterback. 22 out of 29. Looked awesome leading that team. Big win last week. I know it was only Vegas, but you know what? Big win for them.
And I reluctantly picked Vegas. I said I don't want to pick them. Everything is telling me to pick Indy, and I still went with Vegas. The same thing with we knew Murray was going to be out, right? And we knew Stafford was. Well, we didn't know. There was a good chance both those quarterbacks are out, right? So you had the Colt McCoy, John Wolford matchup. And I said, this is a dot throw. This game is a dot throw. I had no basis for that pick. So at least I won the games I was confident in, except for Buffalo. But the ones I wasn't confident in, I'm just like,
yeah.
Anyways.
Hey, by the way, we're gonna pick this. The losing coach is out of a job on Monday morning game coming up in a few minutes, and you know who that is, right? You just mentioned one of them, Josh McDaniels. All right. Hey, by the way, one other Josh who's a little bit in trouble. Josh Allen is showing some flies in the ointment here, buddy. I know he's your number 1 choice in our Survivor League fantasy, but he's not looking good in the red zone for like 3 weeks in a row now. Are you concerned?
I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned. I think that defense will help them. I think, to win some games. They have many offensive weapons, including himself with his legs, right?
Yeah,
so even last week, he still rushed for 80-something yards at the quarterback position. So, no, I'm not worried about them at all. I think they'll be fine.
All right, let's talk about that. Pick 6 this week. I think last week was G Money was the winner at 4-2. I came in 500. What'd you come in? I forget.
I was 2-4 last week, but still way up on the year though. Over both of you guys.
It's coming down. Don't worry. I'm closing the gap, fans. Like last year and the year before, I will end up being ahead.
We'll see.
Let's see. Let's start with the big one in the NFC. Cowboys go to the Vikings. The Cowboys are the favorites in this game. I have no idea how they're the favorites. I love my boys, as you know.
Yeah.
I'm not picking them. I'll tell you right now. I'm taking the Vikings. What do you got?
See, and I'm going the opposite. I'm going with Dallas. And the reason why I'm going with Dallas is just because you see this a lot with teams. Like Minnesota had their big victory last week against Buffalo.
They did.
And that's their like high point, right? So they're in an opportunity for a letdown. And Dallas had a letdown game against Green Bay, which was a kind of a reality check for them. So, but that's the reason why I'm swinging back with Dallas on this one to beat Minnesota, even though it's on the road.
Here's what I'm going to say about Dallas real quick before we move on. Everybody loves their defense. They're a great defense when they're ahead and they can sack the quarterback. But if you can run on Dallas, which Dalvin Cook can, right? That makes that passing game so much more explosive because Dallas does not have good DBs. I hate to say it, but they don't. The defense is saved by their pass rush, which is the number one in the NFL. So at the end of the day, we talked about the 3-tier approach in Minnesota. If Dalvin Cook can be anything positive in the game on the ground, it's over because they will not be able to stop Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, that's a good point. G Money has the Cowboys too, by the way.
He does, I know. All right, KC at the Chargers. This game on paper right now, because the Chargers have not looked like everybody thought at the beginning of the year, looks like a blowout. I think it's an 8-point favorite in Vegas, but who knows? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's just hard for me to pick against the Chiefs. You just watch them week in and week out. They're just tough to pick against, and they're on the road, but they're on the road against a team that's playing okay. I mean, what happened when they went?
Funny? Herbert has no weapons. They're all hurt, right? His receivers are all, but he's still putting up 275 a game. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And Eckler helps that cause a little bit.
It does, yeah.
But I'm gonna go with the Chiefs though. Still,
I am as well. G Money, which he picked LA to go to the Super Bowl. He's obviously living with LA this week, so we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, the big one in the AFC. The Jets come to New England. The Pats easily ended them in New York a few weeks back before their bye. What do you think?
And they've won 13 straight regular season games against the Jets as well. I mean, everything about like the way these two teams started off, you're like they might split this year. It's realistic if they split. The Patriots already took care of the road game. Now they got to come back home and win. But they've also, if they play like they did against the Bears, they're going to lose. You know what I mean? Like, I just hope they show up the way they need to show up. Their defense alone should be enough to stop a Jet team that doesn't have Breece Hall, who is the most electric player on that team. That's now right for the year. Zach Wilson showed me nothing, especially the last time he played the Patriots.
Yes. He was seeing ghosts. He was seeing ghosts.
He was. And for that reason, I got to take the Patriots. So I'm going the Pats.
I'm with you. It's a clean sweep. G Money and me both have the Pats. All right. This game we would never have picked at the beginning of the season, but we're picking it now because all of a sudden it's kind of interesting. Lions go to New York. The Lions have an unbelievable offense. They had a big win last week against the Bears, who are suddenly better as well on offense, against the Giants. And all of a sudden, everybody's forgetting, but Saquon Barkley was a number 2 pick 3-4 years ago, right?
Yeah, out of Penn State.
And he's on fire. What do you think?
Yeah, and Swift is supposedly now practicing in full as opposed to his limited practices in previous weeks when he was just getting a few touches in the game. So we know how explosive he can be offensively. Amon St. Brown is back as well. He's playing you got Goff. I mean, they got the weapons, like you said, to compete, I think, with the Giants. But on the other side of the equation, the Giants have been a surprising team this year, and Daniel Jones is one of the reasons why. So let's not forget about, Saquon Barkley's good, but they have let's talk about another team with a cast of characters at wide receiver, right? They don't have a lot of like real wide receiver weapons. They certainly don't have a wide receiver stud. No. One of the most promising wide receivers they traded away in Kadarius Toney. But this team just wins football games, and it's at New York, and I think they'll win. I'm going to take the Giants.
I am with you. I initially, beginning of the week, when I said we're going to pick this game, I was going to take the Lions, but I'm with you. I think the Giants win it because Jones doesn't make mistakes anymore, and I think Saquon goes off because the Lions can't stop anybody, right?
Right.
They can't stop a running nose. So, all right, G Money likes the Lions, so we'll see. All right, this one right here, the next game we're going to pick. The loser is fired before 9 o'clock Monday morning. I predict the head coach, is fired before 9 o'clock Monday morning. Vegas plays the Broncos at Denver. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going Denver with this one. These are two teams that absolutely suck, and everybody was thinking at the beginning of the year these two teams were the two teams that were going to make that AFC West the best, because you already had the Chiefs and Chargers, right? Everyone knew about
It's supposed to be the best division in football history.
When you added these two teams into the mix of all the things they did in the offseason, you figured, hey, and they're both horrible. This is going to be probably the worst game of the week to watch. You have two boneheads for head coaches and McDaniels and Hackett. And you're right. The loser of this team head coach could be fired Monday morning.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to go Denver just because they're at home and just because at least they've shown me something. That loss last week to Indy just put me. I will never pick the Raiders again this year.
I'm with you for Denver as well. All right. Cleveland doesn't go to the Bills because there's 5 feet of snow in Buffalo as of today. So there'll be no game in Buffalo on Sunday. It's in Detroit, which, by the way, Buffalo plays in Detroit on Thanksgiving Thursday. This is probably a good move for Buffalo, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I don't know what to think about this game.
I know it.
I think Cleveland. I watched Cleveland's defense last week. They played Miami. I was at the game, and is Miami's offense that good, or is Cleveland's defense really not as good as people think? Like I was trying to figure that out as the game was going on. And don't get me wrong. I mean, McDaniel, the head coach, not McDaniels, McDaniel,
Mike McDaniel,
the coach of my. Hey, I'm really starting to like this guy a lot. I like him as a head coach.
I'm glad you like Harry Potter as the head coach. Good for you.
He connects with his players. They're doing some good things down here. So that being said, what I saw last week is what's making me say I can't even begin to think about Cleveland stopping Buffalo in this game. And it's going to be played indoors. Neither team's both teams love their home field elements, right?
Right.
But I think you put Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs in a dome. Watch out, baby. So Buffalo all day here.
A clean sweep means you money as well. By the way, I will say this, though. If there was only 2 feet of snow in Buffalo and they played there, Nick Chubb running in the snow might have been a different story. Don't you agree?
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah, that's a good point.
Because Buffalo's I think if there's a weakness in Buffalo, it's stopping the run. All right. There's our picks, fans. You got them.
All right.
PB, man. Have a good weekend. I'll talk to you soon. Nice fish story. Can't wait to see the pictures.
All right.